And I want to shout out to all the Canelo fans out there. You know, without y'all, we wouldn't have a Jake Paul walking around. Canelo created Jake Paul. As soon as Canelo start picking up steam, making Triple G fights, Jake Paul comes along. Jake Paul. Now everybody try to say, yeah, man, Canelo, he's the face of boxing. He make everything happen. As soon as Wilder came along and start making these big fights, and everybody started asking Canelo, hey, can you make a big fight? That's when everybody started making podcasts. They didn't make podcasts when Canelo, go look at the dates. They didn't make podcasts when Canelo started boxing. They started making podcasts around the time Wilder and Jake Paul started boxing. I know some of the biggest channels right now in the game, they've been covering boxing for a year or two now. And they covered Jake Paul and Wilder. I haven't seen no Canelo fights on there. And dudes doing millions of views every video. So prove me wrong. Jake Paul ain't carrying more weight, man. You could do a Jake Paul video and get 1 million views right now. Canelo, nah, you get 100, maybe a couple thousand. Canelo's not that guy, man. Like, I don't know what people trying to realize. Like, he created Jake Paul, man. He's the reason Jake Paul is walking around. Jake Paul is living in the Canelo era. Is this the Canelo era or is this the Jake Paul era? Let me know. I thought Canelo was the face of boxing. Why is Jake Paul walking around in the Canelo era? Canelo created this guy. He created Jake Paul. If this ain't the Canelo era, this is the Jake Paul era. This might be both. It might be twins. Both of them pick fights. Both of their fans asked them to fight real boxers. They both brag about guys being horrible fighters. They both brag about having the most money. They both brag about pay-per-view sales. They both brag about who ain't nobody get fought. They both brag about what they got, what deals they got. They both talk about other people, other boxers. So, what's the difference between those guys? They both got spotty tattoos. They both around the same complexion. They both have red hair on their head. I mean, Jake Paul has a red beard, but blonde, however that goes. But, they both have around the same kind of demographic, same kind of thing they have going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, Tommy Fury versus Jake Paul, John Ryder versus Canelo, Canelo versus Yildirim. Kind of the same thing to me, brother. Just gonna tell y'all the truth. Oh, another thing too. Showtime wasn't worried about Canelo when they had Jake Paul on there. See, they didn't run over there and give Canelo the bag all those times like they were trying to give it to Jake Paul. See, Showtime, they ran to Jake Paul. And what happened after Jake Paul was on Showtime? Canelo ran over there. Let me get a fight with Caleb Plant, because PBC, they do the best fights. As soon as Jake Paul started picking up some steam in Showtime, who left the zone and ran over there to Showtime? Since I don't know what I'm talking about. Who ran to PBC in Showtime? Who ran over there? That's all I'm trying to figure out. Who ran over there at the PBC in Showtime? That's the only thing I want to know. And they ain't going to discuss it. Because he ran straight over there when Jake Paul name got brought up. As soon as Jake Paul started creating steam, Canelo, yeah. Let me get over there in Showtime, see what Jake Paul and them talking about. They building big fights. He didn't say nothing about, man, Showtime putting on a joke. They putting on some joke fights. You know how I know? He didn't say that? Because he ran right over there. And you know how I know Tyson Fury didn't say that? Because he jumped in the ring with an MMA fighter right after that. Oh, exhibitions, this is what we do now. Jake Paul done made it popular. Oh, y'all following Jake Paul and a retired Mayweather. Mayweather was doing exhibitions when? at the end of his career, yeah, you guys are done. They done, man. 33 years old, 34, doing exhibitions. Guys ain't really they're done, bro. I mean, it just is what it is. But Jake Paul was created in this era. I told a Canelo fan the other day and got mad that Jake Paul walking around breathing. If you think Jake Paul is such a bad boxer, why don't you go out there and do the same thing he done? Tell Canelo to fight Jake Paul and put him to sleep. See, if Canelo would have fought Jake Paul already instead of Yildirim somebody, we would have enjoyed that, of him knocking Jake Paul out. But he's knocking out nobodies that we don't even know. It's a difference. We don't know none of these guys he's fighting. And you got fans out here, yeah, Canelo, he's selling this, and he's competing with Tank, and this guy, and man, who cares? He created Jake Paul. He's Jake Paul's twin. He Frankenstein Jake Paul. He created that. Jake Paul learned everything from Canelo. Ask Jake Paul, I learned everything from Canelo. That's why Jake Paul knows so much about Canelo. That's why he called him out now. That's why he says Canelo's running. He knows everything about Canelo's career. He knows Jake Paul. Man, Jake Paul knows, man. And he walking around because of Canelo. So when everybody want to blame somebody, blame him. Blame Canelo. Because last time I checked, Floyd, he wasn't fighting Jake Paul when he was active. He was fighting Canelo. So blame Canelo. Canelo couldn't carry the torch. His fights aren't big enough to the point where people just don't want to pay attention to it. People are looking at Jake Paul. They're looking at bare knuckle boxing. They're looking at all these other stuff because they want to see action. They want to see real fights. They want to see real fights. They don't want to see a guy just go in there and win because his name is Canelo. They want to see real fights. People complain about Pacquiao and all this other stuff. Pacquiao Mayweather was born. Charlo versus Canelo was born. Charlo versus Canelo was born. One of the most boring fights. Triple G versus Canelo, one of the most boring fights I've ever seen. I'm not gonna lie to you, John Ryder versus Canelo, it was pretty boring. Not gonna lie, it was pretty boring. Not gonna lie, it was pretty boring. Pretty boring. For real. They would have had no name on the back of their jersey, it would have been a bum fest. So let's quit playing the games. Jake Paul walking around because of this guy. Jake Paul ain't Mexican. He don't need the support of a country. He ain't got a whole this and this. Jake Paul doing the same thing Canelo doing. Same numbers. That's who Canelo needs to compete with. Don't talk to me about Canelo versus no boxer. He's made it to where now the only people that he can compete with is guys like Jake Paul. He's a YouTuber's dream. They see how Canelo's moving, and they say, I'm going to move just like that. Then when people say, I'm tired of Jake Paul. Oh, man, he thinks he's a real boxer. He's a fraud. I feel the same thing about Canelo. I feel the same way about him. He's walking around in Canelo's era. Like, nobody else can say that. George Foreman can't say, yeah, man, when I was around Jake Paul, no. Mayweather can't say, nah, man, when I was around Jake Paul, no. Roy Jones can't say that. Mike Tyson. Jake Paul would have never existed in the Mike Tyson era. Mike Tyson would have never let Jake Paul come in and take any kind of shine from him. Jake Paul wouldn't have sold a pay-per-view in Mike Tyson era. But as soon as the shutdown started, Jake Paul said, let me take advantage. These boxers ain't boxing anyways. And he did it. Then you got real boxers helping him. And they saying that he's really been training. And he's really been doing things. And he really takes it serious. Oh, man. Then you got guys like Canelo who's giving him life because he's not fighting anybody. Mike Tyson would have never let stuff like this happen. Don't come to me about no Canelo, man. Jake Paul taking over what Canelo doing. When Canelo gone, Jake Paul still going to be around. Canelo. Yeah, all right. I'll tell you about Canelo. You want to know. That's all I got. Like and subscribe.